You're live.
Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to Empowerment Moment with Dr. G, and I am here with some of my favorite people. So today I'm privileged to have Pat. Pat, thank you for always being on point.
Thank
Um,
you.
I've been blessed to have this amazing person as part of my network for several years now. And tonight I also have one of my youngest helping me to send the message out there to the Facebook people. So if you're watching and you're on there, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Dr. G with My Goal Inc. and Haven International. Since 2020, when we started this program, doing it as virtual empowerment moment, it's been such a privilege. And I know that there are lives that have been changed and transformed because of some of the things I say. And how do I know that? I don't know. I'm just expecting that it is.
Mhm.
The vision has always been to, as an organization, to see people's lives better, as my goal. And above all, our mission is that we exist to support families facing autism and other intellectual disabilities throughout their lifespan. And we do this by providing connections and then also providing resources, making connections and then providing resources. These are pivotal ways that we ensure that people get to what they need. So we have a global community. And so anytime that I have the privilege, I come on here. So usually is the fourth um, Thursday of the month. In this case, is the fifth Thursday of the month. I know it's, not everybody will be able to tune in, but if you do catch it later, I just want you to know that you're blessed for catching up and sharing it. So if you're watching me, I say good evening. I'm here in New Jersey. So for those who may watch it later, if it's morning to you, then I say morning. So once again, I always try to process a theme or something that's heavy on my heart or something that I'm meditating on or thinking or reflecting on, and I use that as a means to have conversation to empower others to join us. So tonight I just have another colleague here joining me in the Zoom room. So Rosie, welcome, welcome, welcome. So excited to have you join me interiorly. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Good to
you.
see you.
This is also another amazing woman that I've been blessed. My gosh, it's almost going on 8 to 9 years since I connected with you. So thank you for being part of my family. I am always so thankful that I get to meet new people and I also get to say hi to folks that I've seen in a while. So this month I was thinking about what are the things that one has to reflect on and share. And the theme that I thought about was pressing through to the finish line. Pressing through to the finish line. And so the idea here is that as you're on a journey of raising a loved one with special needs, sometimes we get through to a place where we feel stuck. We feel like, I don't know if I can keep doing this any longer. Or perhaps you're facing a particular challenge or doing a particular activity and you want to just throw in a towel. But what I want to encourage us, and that's the reason why I do these talks, is to remind us that there's power in resiliency, there's power in determination. And sometimes you have to get the small victories along the ways and look forward to the small victories. So I want you to type in there if you can, or if you're watching me, say out loud, there's power in resiliency. There's strength that comes from determination. And I look forward to embracing small victories along the way. So, and then you're also going to tell yourself, this is my year of pressing through to the finish line. Pressing through to the finish line. Whatever you've started, you're not going to drop. Whatever fight you have in you, you're going to keep pushing. So a few months ago, oh yeah, I have more people joining me. Oh wow, awesome. This is October, right? So a few months ago, I had a parent, wonderful. Thank you, Rosie, for writing. There is pressing through to the finish line. Yes, Pat, writing, pressing through to the finish line. Make that your hashtag. Put that on your WhatsApp status. Put that on your Facebook. Say, I'm pressing through to the finish line. You know, that is a declaration, and that's power in what you say. So, you know, a few months ago, I was going through a journey with our son, my son, and the journey was that the environment that he's getting supports and services, there were some challenges in that arena. And I tell you that it was a fight. When I say it's a fight, you know, I was recently on hey, Ade, welcome, welcome, welcome. I was actually recently on a podcast with my colleague Ade, and I was talking about supports. And I was sharing how now that Nick is post 21, I've entered into the adult world, and the adult world thinks a lot different. So it's almost like starting the journey all over again, right? Just when I got to 21, I figured it out with school and the services and all that. And then you get into adults, and he goes to a program, and I'm so grateful that now we've crossed over to the other side where, you know, the team there are just amazing. But it wasn't all easy. It was a process of them getting to know how I operate, a process of them understanding that I'm one of those parents that I want to know everything. I need to know everything. I'm just designed. It's not intended to upset anybody. Welcome, Nadedi, for being a part of the program tonight. It's not intended at all to be disrespectful to anybody, but ultimately, I'm responsible for this human being that I came onto this earth, right? So if you're a parent out there, please, please, please be reminded, you are the parent. You are the caregiver. God, in his wisdom, chose you as a vessel to bring forth this individual. And it's true. You get to have the last word. You do. So please don't let anybody tell you otherwise, right? So I had to find a way to say respectfully, you may be the professional, but I'm the parent. Right. And so, but along the journey, you start to doubt yourself and you start to question whether you have it right. So, so that was something that I went through. And thanks be to God, if you've heard me say it, I learned how to advocate. And recently I got to be on an advocacy, actually on a board. I signed up to be on a board for the home that my son lives now. And that's how I was able to get my voice heard, right? So I tell that story in a way to make the point that there is importance in advocacy, which is something we always talk about. And as we round up this program, I'm going to tell us what's coming up next month in our Ask the Expert right around the corner. But what I want to say to us is there's power in resiliency. As I said that. So if you're listening in or tuning in now, that's going to be key pieces to pressing it through the finish line, right? There's strength and determination, and the small victories, you have to grab hold of it, right? So I had one person, a family member, reached out to me and said their son had regressed because of at the school that they were going to. And every attempt to have discussions with the school district fell off deaf ears. And I can't tell you how many times I get this kind of calls or these type of questions that come up. And honestly, it gets a little annoying after a while. So unfortunately, it's because these individuals, and it's multiple, it's not just one family, didn't know their rights in special education. They were just dealing with this issue. And I'm just like, oh, why? So fast forward, the key thing is reading the booklet, Parental Rights in Special Education. At least the New Jersey version is what I usually share with people. And before you know it, child study team convene a meeting, an IEP meeting. So IEP is Individualized Education Plan. Child study team is CST. And before you know it, they change the program. And before you know it, the child is doing great. Now, that process was not easy. Another story, a young man admitted to the hospital. The team that's taking care of this individual Well, now we're not listening to the parents. Fast forward, suggested to the parent, contact the director of the unit. You know, if you have to escalate it all the way to the patient experience officer, you do know every hospital has something like that, right? For the most part, you can even email the CEO of a hospital, by the way. If you're listening to me and you're struggling and you're like, wait, nobody's listening to me, you can do that. Fast forward, before you know it, they were able to address all the issues that individual has and safe discharge. The individual got home safely. So what am I saying? What I'm saying to us is that sometimes in the midst of going through challenges or issues, we might feel like defeated. So I don't know, for those of you who are in here, have you ever had a time where you felt like you were defeated because some of the people were not listening to you, or you feel like your voice was going nowhere fast? I know, Pat, you've had that. That happened.
Yeah, when Michael was in elementary school.
Well, Michael's in elementary school, right?
Yeah, when he was in elementary school, yes. I'm not lying. I remember I sued them. Usually, like we were about to sue,
Ah,
so that's when they quickly gave him what he wanted. But then they would be calling me to come and pick him up. Didn't any better then. I will leave work, pick him up. Thank God, most of the places I work, they were able to understand. So I run and pick him up. Then somebody said, no, no, they should know. Didn't they have the paper and everything? So, so I remember the principal called me. I said, I'm not picking him up. He said, well, I said, no, well, do what you got to do, and I'll sue you. If anything happened to my son, and I'll sue you. So the next day we had a meeting. So they gave Michael what he needed.
wow.
Yep.
Wow. 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 I know there are many people that have stories like that. Did you hear that? If they call you and tell you, come pick up your child, no, that's why they're in school. They're supposed to figure it out.
Yeah.
So, yes, it goes, but you knew the buzzword to use is I will sue you.
Yeah,
I
just
I know people who have attempted it. So if you look in that parental rights and special education booklet, there's some guidance in there. And so thank you, Pat, for sharing that and giving us your input as well too. So that confirms what I'm saying, that sometimes in the midst of it is knowing information and talking to people who can help you to know what to say. So once again, pressing through to the finish line is really what we're talking about today. So, but sometimes we don't know what that finish line looks like, right? It just feels like every day there's something new, there's another issue, there's something else coming up, and you're like, okay, it's another, just when I have just addressed an issue, something else pops up again. I know some of us have felt like that, right? Just when you just close one door, another one comes in there. So it just feels like, and then sometimes it feels like you're making progress, but it just feels like inches instead of miles, right? You're taking this walk. You're like, this is like pushing and pushing and pushing. So maybe you're at a place where right now you just feel a sense of frustration. You feel tired. You feel like you just want to quit. You feel like, this is not working. And if you're there and you're feeling that, this is very normal. I want you to know that it's normal to have that. So even the strongest person have those moments that they just want to be like, I want to scream. I want to just scream out loud. And if you do, I would suggest you go to the bathroom, go scream very loudly, get it out of your system, and then come back out because that's important. Got to get it out. Yeah, no, Ade, you're laughing. No, you sometimes have to do that, right? I have a friend that like kickboxing, so she has one of those things in there, and she'll go and punch it out and get it out of her system. Don't go punching anybody, but just get out what those emotions are. So what I'm saying is that that sense of frustration is real, and you have to have an outlet to kind of get it out, right? But what I want to tell you is this, that you're not supposed to just drop what you were pushing for. That's the point here. You're supposed to find a way to route it. So there's some practical strategies to Be resilient. So I talked I said earlier that there's power in resiliency, right? And so what are some of the things, three key points that I want to raise? One is you need to take small incremental steps. Tell yourself, I'll take small steps, baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. So I'll use the example of maybe you want your child to be potty trained. You know, I know Nicholas wasn't potty trained until I know I'm putting his business out there until around 8. And it was baby steps. It was small steps. It was frustrating, but when he did it, boy, whoo, it was come to Jesus moment. I was so excited, but it took time. So what I want to say to you is whatever it is that you're pushing towards or trying to achieve or whatever goal it may be for that individual, take small steps and focus on small achievable goals. Number 2, lean on your support. Who's your support? It is your loved ones, it's your family member, it's your CPAC, it's if you're part of the MyGo family, it is us. Send a message, you're not alone, and share what you're trying to achieve, right? Look for motivation. So now my question is, do you have a network? Do you have a group? Do you have a safe group that you can talk to? Do you have one? And if you don't, I highly suggest you create a team. I almost think that it's crucial that if you're on this road or this journey, that you take a step back and look around and say, who are the people that I can call on at any point when I'm overwhelmed? If you can't think of any, well, I want you to think about MyGo and reach out to us, and we can see how we can be a part of your network, because I don't want you to ever think that you don't have anybody, right? So one is take small baby steps. Number 2, lean on your support network. And number 3, I want you to celebrate the small wins. Celebrate the small wins. So I want you to think about and be excited about every small thing, right? Because each step is walking towards the bigger goal, right? So if you think about what I just said about the 8-year-old that now is getting potty trained, somebody may say, oh my God, that's so late. When you walk the journey that some of us have had to walk, that is like normal. And for some of us, that's a big deal. I remember that the first time that one of our families came to the support group, and she's like, oh my God, I was able to put my child on the bus and not cry, because her thing was, how do I know he's going to be safe? How do I know? So the first day that she was able to say, I let him on the bus and he was able to go to school and I stopped crying, that was huge. That was a huge milestone. So the point here is that there is small incremental steps on some things that most people take for granted. And it is so important that you give yourself a break and you tell yourself that I got this, right? I got this. The other thing I also want you to know is that it is important that you know that you're part of a resilient community. A resilient community. What you're doing here is showing up and you're showing out. And every single day that you start something new and you keep trying, it is pressing through to the finish line. So Pat is saying here, she had one of her clients whose child didn't get potty trained until 11, right? Wow. How I'm sure that family must have been so excited when that happened.
Yes, because they are is a teenager now. It's like almost to me. His parents are Jehovah Witness, so they didn't give me any service until 2 years ago. They
Wow.
were praying it out.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Is very aggressive. Like I'm the only one that can work with him. Nobody else.
Wow.
If I'm not at work, they will cancel the session.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, God bless you and all the therapists and folks that get this stuff done and help loved ones there. So if you're listening, you heard her say that the family did not pursue services until that individual was much older. So if you're listening, please, 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 every child deserves a community, deserves to have support. And praying it out is good, but sometimes we the most important thing is to access resources that can help that individual. So I want us to use that as a point to say, if you know someone out there or families out there who are not getting support for their loved ones, encourage them to give it a try. You might be surprised, right? I also want to just remind us that it's very important that we look for resources externally, right? So if you're in Jersey, for example, and it's across the country and across the world, Special Olympics, that is a great way to connect our loved ones into getting into sports, doing activities, and they discover for themselves that they're skilled and they're get talents that they didn't even know they have. I want you to think about the ARC for those in New Jersey. The ARC of New Jersey has a lot of programs. The Bach Center has a lot of programs. So what I'm saying is that get educated. A lot of times the reason why we get stuck or we're not able to press through to the finish line is because we don't have the right tools. We don't have the right supports in place. We don't know what to do. So the key thing is get educated, get your supports. That's really, 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 really important. Now, as I'm saying this, one of the key things that I mentioned earlier is that there's power and resiliency. The power and resiliency comes from the fact that we internally we know that there's possibilities. There is possibilities. And I called on Pat and I appreciate her being here tonight. And because I saw her son when he was young and small and seeing this, and this young man is now quite tall, dwarfs all of us, and doing so well. And so as a parent, that one of the things that I used to tell her all the time is to see him doing great things. And it's called visioning, seeing the child perform and doing great things and developing to the place where God has ordained for them to be. So one of my favorite part of getting empowered is really using scripture. The Bible, I'm a woman of faith, so I walk in my faith and I depend on the faith that I have. And so there's a scripture in Habakkuk, and this is the prophet, and he was standing, and he had a complaint in chapter 1. In chapter 2, he says, and I just realized that I used the same text earlier this year. And it's Habakkuk 2 and 2 to 3, and it says, I I will stand. I will stand on my rampart and watch to see what God will say to me. And the text that comes back is that God says, write a vision down and make it plain so that a runner can read it, because there's still a vision and it will come to pass and it will not deceive. If it looks like it's delayed, wait for it. It surely will come. So if you're at a place where you're feeling like, oh, how long do I have to wait for this thing? I don't even know if it's going to happen. I want you to take a moment right now and picture what it is that you prefer to occur. Picture it. I want you to imagine, like we were talking about, the child that was not potty trained and got potty trained. Vision that child potty trained. Vision your child speaking. Vision that young person accomplishing that thing that they're not doing right now. Imagine it. Because this really, really, really important piece of this whole journey is picturing that individual taking those steps and hold on to that picture. Connect to that picture, write it down and see it. And then just begin to speak it out loud, because the vision may seem small, may seem tiny, or the vision may seem very improbable, impossible, but it could happen. And that's really, really, really what we had to hold on to. So if you know, one of my favorite words is hope, holding on to possibilities every day. So holding on means that you don't give up. You don't throw in the towel. You don't dismiss it because it can happen, right? So I started off by saying that we're going to press through to the finish line. And so can you see the finish line? The finish line is whatever it is that you are looking and pressing towards to. So if you're listening to me tonight, I hope this has helped you in some way or the other. This has encouraged you and reminded you. It's nothing that you haven't heard me probably say before. Just using another way of just speaking the truth, another way of reminding you of your truth, another way of reminding you what you need to do, and that's reminding you to speak out the truth, right? That I am going to press through to the finish line. I am going to make that phone call again to the child study team. I am going to call that speech therapist. I am going to call that occupational therapist. I am going to apply again. I am going to look at that issue again. I am going to call that attorney. I'm not going to take no for an answer. I am going to believe that this child is capable. This individual can do this thing. I can do it. He can do it. We can do all things through Christ who gives us strength. That is how we press through to the finish line. So I want you to remind yourself that you have a community, that you have connections, that there are resources, and it can be done. That's the bottom line. So if you're listening to me, thank you for joining in. I want to remind you that upcoming this month, oh, today is the last day of the month. So we have 2 more months. We're going to November and December. So in November, we have two big things coming up. We have in November 10th, exactly. At 3 o'clock, I have my Ask the Expert, and I have Hillary Freeman who's going to be joining me, and is going to be talking about advocacy stuff, and she's going to be talking about IEPs and talking about 504 plans. Um, she is, I mean, Nodetta, you know who she is. She's one of my favorite people. She's been such a blessing to me personally. So anytime I have topics that
She's the
I think,
best lawyer ever, by the way.
okay, she's the best lawyer, by the way, right?
I tried talking to
Yes,
her about my
ever.
stuff. She didn't
Well,
call.
she
Um,
didn't call. So, um, Pat, we will talk offline on perhaps maybe is the calling and getting through to the right person. But Nodetti's used her, a couple of people has used her. What makes her phenomenal is because she's also a sister or a sibling for an individual, a young adult. So, well, now he's an adult. Let's just put it this way. When you hear her present again, you'll see why. And she's going to be talking about a particular topic, which is IEPs and so on and so on and so forth. So you'll learn a lot from that in that way. And it's going to be Q&A. So please, 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 doesn't matter how much you think you know about special ed, there's more to learn. I'm still learning, and I don't even have a loved one in schools anymore, but I think it's important that we talk about it. Then we're having our Sweet 16, Sweet 16
Oh,
gala
sorry,
event.
Dr. G. I try to purchase on my phone. Doesn't that work through the phone? Am I supposed to do it on the computer? Because I tried to do it on my phone and it didn't let me. So,
Hmm. Try it on your computer because
okay.
sometimes it's brought the particular browser,
Okay.
Safari versus that. So try that.
All right, I'll try
So
it.
yeah. So for folks who may be struggling, mygoalinc.org, you can go online and get your tickets to join us for the gala. I really, really, really hope folks to help me spread the good news of what we do. You know what we do. You know why we do it. You know the lives that are changed. We're trying to impact so many lives across the world, not just in New Jersey. So please, please, please join us. We're celebrating 16 years. So 1-6, that's right. 16 years on this journey, transforming lives, seeing people's life change, families empowered, encouragement, any and every way that we can do it, we want to do it. And then we have the MJ expressions. They're going to be there. And those guys have a way of just making us all smile. DJ Nick was going to be there. I'm so looking forward to it. And so I hope you will spread the word. And for family, people who are listening to us, who want to support us, please, you can go to mygolink.org/donate to support us. For the families that are listening to us, if you're interested in attending the event, but you don't have the means to, please email us anyway, info@mygoolinc.org. Sometimes we have individuals that donate tickets. So I'd love for you to make it a night out. If not, get dressed up, look good, smell good, come eat, be at the Pines with us. Music, entertainment. I want you to really, really, really have a night where you can just say, for a day, for an evening, I was able to just be with people who get it, people who support you. We're going to be honoring some individuals and families that have been supporting us all this time. So I want to say once again, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your donor, your partner, your sponsor. You've been with us all these years. I just want to say thank you for coming along with us. I have always said, for those of us who are on this journey, it is because of sponsors and friends and community that we are able to keep going. And so for our loved ones out there, we just want to say thank you. We love you for loving on us, supporting us, encouraging us. And remember, it doesn't matter if you have a loved one with special needs or not, don't throw in the towel. Keep pushing, keep pressing to the finish line, and you will make it there. If you have to crawl, if you have to walk, if you have to run, if you have to fly, you can do it. So don't give in, don't give up, and keep pressing. And don't quit, because you have Christ. If you have him, you will make it to the finish line. So once again, I want to say thank you all for joining us. And I want to say thank you, Delali, for being my my spot check. You stood in for your sister. Thank you. I appreciate it. I want to say thank you to Rosie and Odedi and Pat and Ade for joining me online. And of course, for those of you who will share, I want to say thank you. I want to acknowledge our FSOs in Middlesex for always sharing this link to other families. Please do, if it's the recordings on Facebook, do share with others who you feel may be empowered by what I've shared. That's the whole goal. So once again, thank you for joining us with Empowerment Moment with Dr. G, yours truly. And we hope to see you on November 10th at 3 p.m., same place, to learn more about how to advocate for your loved one. With 504, those who have 504 plans, who have IEPs, we want you to be empowered and educated. All right. So have a great night. Thank you guys for joining us. Have a great night, y'all. Bye-bye now. Sally, we can end the program.